What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the WebBuzz Podcast, episode number 4. Shantai Birio, joined by no other than the man, the myth, the freaking robot legend, Mr. Roger Valdez. Roger, how's it going?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Once again, we're rolling into episode 4. I cannot believe it. I'm pumped. I just kind of keep going back to our first episode when this was just an idea. Now we have it going. We're excited, putting a lot of value out there. So I'm pumped, man. Ready to go. We got some special stuff to share with everybody today. So just get ready.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, when you just said that, you can't believe we're episode number 4 already. First off, it's hard to believe that it's already been 4 episodes, just because where the heck has time gone, right?
Exactly.
It feels like just last week we decided, let's go live with this thing. Let's kind of start bringing more value from TRC out there. And here we are, a month down already.
Right.
But more importantly, the consistency. We preach this like crazy with our clients. Consistency. And you said something the other day that made me think about it. The only reason this has been happening as consistent as it is because we got it on the schedule.
Yep.
It's at a time. It's on a day. It's on a calendar. And that is how it's getting executed on. So early lesson in this episode for everybody. If you want to commit to something, just put it on a freaking calendar and then it's scheduled and you got to do it.
It's as simple as that. It's like, yeah, you're right. Because we have so many things like, and this is kind of geared towards entrepreneurs, people that are thinking about going into some kind of business or just trying to do their own SEO, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we all have a life, right? We all have a life. We all have things that are happening. And Sean has given me a little bit of a hard time here and there with little things that are happening with me that, and the thing with the chicken and all that stuff that comes up. And that's because I'm living life. That's my life right now with the kids at home and just kind of going around it. So just to let everybody know out there that we're with you. We're going through the same thing, and we're trying to kind of share our experiences so you can see that it is possible, but it's not easy, right? You have to schedule it. And at the end of the day, that's, to Sean's point, that is the first most important lesson: schedule.
Absolutely. So real quick, though, before we dive in to the episode, officially, I'll say it on the air with everybody. Happy birthday to your daughter. I know you just went through that yesterday. And it was funny. I got, for everybody out there watching and listening, I got a message from Roger this morning. I was asking him how it went, and he goes, "We made sure to make it all about her." So she was really happy about that. And then he tells me that she turned 5. And I immediately started to think of my daughter, Layla, who's 5, and how it's so important that everything has to be about them, right? It's always about them.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you, by the way. Appreciate that. And yeah, my daughter Lucy just turned 5. Yesterday was a great day. I still, once again, scheduling, right? I still had time to do a little bit of work in the morning before taking her out and doing a lot of things. Went out. She got her nails done with mom. Mom took her out, do the girly thing. Then we went out as a family to the beach, had a great time. Then we took her out to dinner. And at the end of the day, she was stoked. So it's a great day.
I'd be careful saying that you went out to the beach. Good portion of the listeners are kind of in an area of the world where the beach in December, they're probably ready to tune out, turn us off. I guess we all can't live where it's 80 degrees. Dan and I were saying the exact same thing, actually, about here in LA is having crazy weather this December. And I was outside in shorts and a t-shirt the other day, 80 something degrees.
Right.
Where's the cold weather that we're used to getting in December? Where's the little bit of rain that we would normally see? It's nowhere to be found. So, but
yeah, there's some benefits. There's some benefits to living on the islands, right?
Yeah, definitely. Not even the islands, just, living where you got to pay for the sunshine.
Yeah, true.
Around, right. So, well, I'm glad the birthday went well. Glad everything was a beautiful day. And that you were able to spend some time with the fam, but now it's back to the grind, back to the hustle, back to dropping some gold bars.
Absolutely. Some gold bars. We're
Gold
ready. We
bar.
got some good ones today. So
Yes, we do. So if you guys haven't been tuning in over the last couple weeks, over the last couple episodes, no sweat. Go back and check them out. Find them on YouTube. Find them on podcast players everywhere. Or if you want it to be super simple, because I love simplicity, just go to topresultsconsulting.com and scroll down a little ways or check out in the nav bar at the top, hit the podcast button, jump over to the episode pages, and catch up on any episodes that you've been missing. Roger and the team did a phenomenal job building out that resource over on our website that you guys can always go and tune in. So I know that was something you committed to actually last week, and you delivered, and you delivered on time.
Absolutely. Well, you know what I did is add it to the schedule.
There you go.
Something as simple as that. It was right in front of me. I was able to look at what's happening, get the right resources in place. Obviously, we have a team, right? The other thing, having a team to back you and support you on all those things, because there's a lot going on. We're able to execute on time.
Awesome. And I didn't forget the ever so famous, we're going to call it world famous. It's not quite world famous yet, but we're going to get it there. The world famous segment where Sean gets to pick on Roger for a quick second. I did hear earlier, I was just on a meeting with some of our marketing team, our internal staff, and I heard that they actually got you to create a video for marketing purposes and send it over. One of our interns was so thrilled. She might even be watching this live right now, but she was so thrilled. That was her highlight. She opens up with her part and she's like, well, good news. I got Roger to do a video.
Yeah.
And like, what did you do? How'd you pull that one off?
Oh man. Yeah. So that's one of the things I always, and I'm going to put myself in the position of most of the people out there, right? Most of our listeners, our clients and everything. There's so much happening that gets put on the back of the list, yet it's part of your marketing. It's something to go out there and actually bring you more clients. So once again, I had to build it into, have a space in it in my schedule to be able to do that. And also be aware because life is happening. There's opportunities. There's little opportunities. And if you have a schedule, you have a priority list, then you take those opportunities throughout your day and then you execute. And that's what happened to me. We were doing something around the house and I just found the opportunity for that little snippet of video that we needed and we shot it. I had my wife shoot it and now it's good to go.
I did the same thing. I made Deanna get up off of away from her desk, aka the couch, where she sits all day. And I told her, I said, you're gonna have to come outside and take a quick video of Sean getting on a ladder doing a few things. So if you guys are wondering what the heck are we talking about here, we're gonna get into the topic. Don't worry, we're dropping bombs and dropping gold bars here in a second. But check us out over on Instagram at Top Results Consulting and check out the IG Reels. One of them already went out. I know the other one, I think yours is scheduled to go out here in another couple days. But if you're trying to figure out what the heck are these guys talking about, just go tune in over on Instagram. You never know what you might find popping up over there. So with that, we're going to kind of shift gears here and let's get into it. We've got a lot to bring. This series has been all around the things you need to do before investing thousands and thousands of dollars into your website or into your online presence. First couple of weeks, we got really nitty gritty on the foundational elements, the framework that really builds some stuff around who is your target audience, that ideal avatar, and structuring out the avatar worksheet. Last week, we got into some very simple yet highly effective quick keyword research. So if you didn't catch that episode, go over to topresultsconsulting.com. I believe it's /episode/episode 3 or something like that. Just go to Top Results Consulting, find the podcast page on there. Yeah. It's easy to get to.
I'll help you out there, Sean.
Go for it. I know we had this conversation like crazy and what the heck it was. And this is why Roger talks to the computer.
So the easiest way for all the listeners out there would be to go to topresultsconsulting.com. Scroll down just a little bit, look for the WebBuzz section for our podcast. Click there and you'll be able to see all the episodes from there. But if you're the kind that wants to go directly to a certain episode, the structure is topresultsconsulting.com /WebBuzz /episode 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So that's going to be the structure moving forward.
Awesome. And see a couple comments just popping in from some of our team members, actually wishing your baby girl happy birthday.
Awesome. Thank you.
Stuff. So cool. All right. So we're taking it next layer now today. We're going one step deeper here. And that is we are diving into really content and the structure around it. But more importantly, not just creating content for the sake of creating it, but creating content in a structured format that will please, I like using that word, please Google, so that you're at least getting the biggest bang for your buck. You're doing it in a way that Google's going to be happy with. It's going to make it easier for them and their spiders when they're crawling around out there to find what value you've put out and bring it to the rankings so that your audience, who you're creating this for, can actually see what it is that you are knowledgeable on and start to learn a little bit more about you. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to my man, let him kind of take you through a little bit deeper on this content structure and, more importantly, something he likes to call the silo format. And we've got some resources to show you and walk through. So Roger, why don't you go ahead, take it away. I'll kind of be your co-pilot and / your student again and let you just kind of drop those bars.
Absolutely. We appreciate it, Sean. All right, guys. So we're going to get into this. So just a little bit of a review from last week. And that way, if some of the stuff, once again, does not make sense, feel free to go to topresultsconsulting.com. Scroll down a little bit, you'll see the WebBuzz podcast, and then you can see all the episodes there. So the first thing that I want to do, last week, we covered the keyword research. So keyword research is huge. I mentioned that a lot of companies skip this step, and it's one of the most crucial steps because that step's what's going to give you the keywords that basically people or your customers are typing into Google. And if you don't have those keywords and you're just randomly creating content and putting it out there on the internet, you're not strategically trying to rank, right? You're not telling Google exactly where you should be indexed on their entire search engine. So if you do your keyword research correct, like we talked about last week, then you will have a better opportunity to rank and be able to reach those customers. So this week, we're talking about content strategy and SEO silos. So that might not make a lot of sense as of right now, but if you really kind of think about it, at this point, you've done a lot of research. You've identified who your target audience is, which is the avatar stage. And then we did keyword research. So now you have some data. You have some data that you're working off of. The next step is to start thinking about content. Basically, all right, now that I have keywords, how am I going to create content? What kind of content am I going to create? So with this keywords, last week as well, we gave a tool called Ask. What is it? Ask the public.
Here, let me help you out this time.
Yeah. Good.
Answer the public.
Answer the public. Sorry about that.
Answerthepublic.com. Awesome resource.
Yeah, so answerthepublic.com is going to give you a number of topics that you can talk about that are going to include your keyword. So that's the first thing that when you start going out and getting these ideas, you're going to also, and still, we haven't talked about the website. You're still working offline. You still have this on a spreadsheet somewhere. You're getting all these ideas. We call it kind of throwing spaghetti on the wall, right? And seeing what sticks. So you just want to put as many ideas on paper or on a spreadsheet, whatever you're utilizing to be able to get these ideas. So that's step one. Now that you have these keywords, you start getting these content ideas and you start putting them down. A lot of companies, or actually most companies, will get to this point and start adding this content to the website, which is fine. That's okay. That's actually, if you do it, you're going to find some success. I'm not going to lie to you. You will find some success. But if you're looking for the ultimate success, is to set them up in an organized fashion so it's easy for your visitors to find the content and additional related content that can support kind of the topic. And also it's easy for Google to find this content and be able to index it in the right places. And that's when we get into the SEO silos. So now that we kind of talked about, all right, you're going to get all these random kind of topics about your content that are related to your keywords. And I have this spreadsheet or this paper full of ideas with the type of content I want to write. All right, Roger, how do I organize this, right? So you're in luck today because we actually have a great resource. So Sean, go ahead. If we have that ready, let's go ahead and bounce into the silo resource.
We do. And boom, it should be there on the screen for those watching live or catching this over on YouTube.
Awesome. So I'll try to kind of talk through this for those of you that are only listening through our podcast. It's okay. I'll go ahead and walk you through this. And if you want to have access to this, we'll give you some resources on where to go to and access this particular document that we're talking about a little later. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is this particular silo structure, the structure that you're looking at. What the heck is it? Why is it set up this way? So we'll start from the top. We'll take it nice and slow and see how this is set up. So let's utilize, since we do have a number of real estate type kind of professionals in our group, I'm just going to use that example. It's easy. And keep in mind, if you are a product-based company or a different type of service, all you have to do is take out the real estate example that I'll use and plug in your service or product. Okay. So we're going to start at the top. So the silo title up there that we're talking about, you can do two things. Up there, you can start with either a location type keyword or a service type keyword. Okay, so there's different ways to do it. So we're going to use, in this case, we're going to use a location. Let's just pretend there's a real estate agent that's trying to target San Diego, California, right? So they are based out of San Diego, California, and they do business in San Diego, but they also do business in Carlsbad and maybe in Pacific Beach, for example. Those are just the two locations. So one of those silos that they're going to be creating is going to be around San Diego. So the first thing that they do something like, are you trying to buy a house in San Diego, right? Trying to buy a house in San Diego would be a very strong word for a real estate agent, right? So they use that as their main silo. And that represents a page there at the top, by the way. So once they do that, that's their main keyword. And each one of these pages should have a main keyword, a secondary keyword that basically supports that main keyword, and then a handful, maybe like 5, no more than 5, what we call accessory keywords, all related. Maybe they have the same San Diego keyword in it, right? The San Diego location keyword, but it has something to do with trying to buy a house in that location. And then our next step is to create that one section right there. The top piece of the silo would represent one page. And standard, I mean, something like 800 to 1,000 words would be appropriate to have on those pages. Words do count, guys. If you go out and you write maybe 2-3 sentences about selling your house in San Diego, you're not going to win. You're just not going to win. So you have to put enough value. You can't explain your thought or the idea in just 2 to 3 sentences. You have to go in detail. That's what Google looks at as value when they scan your pages. So that's number one, having that location page set up, talking about if you're needing to buy a house in San Diego. Now we're going to drop down to section 2 there where you see category 1, 2, and 3. So if you can kind of like go ahead.
Real quick, before you move into that, Roger, let me clarify here. I want to make sure I did this right. And for those that aren't able to maybe chime in with some questions here. So the title of my silo page in your example would be, are you trying to buy a house in San Diego? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
So you're looking at it like a book, right? That's the title of the book or the title of the chapter of the book. This would be one chapter in a book. This would be the title.
Now, what about the search volume? Do I need to worry about filling this out? What's this for?
Okay, if you're brand new, this kind of lesson that we're going through is mostly for people that are trying to do it on their own. You would have gotten that search volume from last week's podcast, right? When we talked about one of the tools, what's my SERP.com was the tool that we shared where you can actually find search volume. How many people per month are searching for that particular keyword that you're trying to make your primary? So you could put it in there if you have that search. But yeah, that's basically what that's for.
So just to recap and kind of get clear, I would have gone to what'smyserp.com, put in this keyword, buy a house in San Diego, whatever that search volume is, plug it in here. So I've got kind of an easy reference point, correct?
Exactly. That way you then have some kind of data to go off of each month as far as like, all right, I know there is 100 people searching for this particular keyword. And then you kind of add that up to see how many of those 100 people can I get to come to my page as I start optimizing, and you have something to measure.
Got it. And then for those that are out there listening, that gives you, remember what I said at the start of this, we're going to create some content. We're going to go and create a page that lives on our website that's about 800 to 1,000 words all around this topic of, are you trying to buy a house in San Diego? And that gives us what we call our pillar page, our main page, right?
Correct.
Awesome. Go ahead and move on. I wanted to make sure
all right.
was clear on
that's excellent
before we dive deep into the categories.
Perfect. So now that that's been clarified, now you have that location page set up. You could stop there, right? And many people do. Once again, I'm just taking you through the steps on how you're going to outwork your competition. Because what we're doing here is helping you not only get in that race. We keep talking about, getting in the race, just getting in that realm of showing Google that you have value. Your website has value. So as we move down, keep in mind, you can stop at any time, but your competition probably won't. And we're showing you how to not stop and how to outwork the competition. So if you want to outwork them, go to the next step, which is the categories, right? So right now we've done the silo page. It's the location in this situation. Now we're going to say, what are the categories? Why are they there? So currently we have 3. It can be 1 category. It can be 10. It depends on your business, right? In this case, we have 3. We'll just use the 3 examples. Actually, we'll just use 2, Sean, just so we can do it quick here. So what the category would be is essentially, since it's a location, now it has to be more of the avatar, right? The actual avatar of that topic. So if we go back to our primary keyword in the first piece of the silo, and you're trying to sell you're trying to buy a house in San Diego, then you look at who are the avatars that are trying to buy a house. So the first one that comes to mind is first-time buyers, right? So now you would have to go and do some keyword research and see what type of keywords are out there that first-time buyers are putting in. So you can literally put first-time buyers in San Diego. So if I was a first-time buyer, I'd be typing in all kinds of variations of that. That's what you as the company is trying to find. What is the keyword that has the most volume that a first-time buyer is typing in? So we haven't done the research, so we're just kind of making this up as we go. But in there, that's the keyword that would be your primary keyword. And through your keyword research, if you listened last week, you'll end up with 100, 50 to 100 keywords on your list. So you have many to choose from. So now it's up to you to pick the primary keyword, the secondary, and maybe 5 accessory keywords. And now you have a starting point of what to create your content around. Okay. So those category keywords are essentially your avatar. So in this case, we have the first time buyer. Once again, we go back to our structure of the page. You have your keywords. You have about 800 to 1,000 words on that category page, and then you move on to your next category, right? Your next category can be something like Sean. I'll let you kind of give me. Do you have give me an example of?
Yeah, I mean, since we're going San Diego here, a lot of people that like to move to San Diego while they're moving there, they're trying to buy. So, job transfer type buyer, something like that, be an example.
Gotcha. So someone that's transferring, right? And these are good because they're for you guys. You have to get niche. You have to really think outside the box and get in there. And believe it or not, these people that are in those situations, like relocation, someone that's getting relocation and needs to buy a house quickly because they have a family and they're moving to San Diego and they need to move fast. So you have to find those keywords that particular avatar is typing in, and you create that page. So we already kind of talked about what's next. You'd create 800 to 1,000 words on that page. Now, we're going to just use those 2, Shanka, so we can kind of move on to the actual what happens. Now, once again, we could stop there. And if we did, what we would want to do is then, if you look at the arrows, they're all pointing back to the top of the silo, right? So let's go back to the first time buyer page. Let's say you created that first time buyer page, that category page. It's about the avatar. That's the first time buyer. Then you would find a way to interlink, basically create a hyperlink somewhere within the content. Somewhere within the content, the words, right, of the content on the page, on the first time buyer page, and hyperlink it back to the main top silo, which is the general. Are you trying to buy a house in San Diego? So what you're doing, you're pushing basically your user or the conversation up to the top. We call it pushing it up to the top of the silo. And that is good in many ways. One, it's good for the user because they're reading through your content. Say they found the first time buyer page and they're reading through it. And then there's a call to action there that tells them, hey, boom, if you like what you're reading, go ahead and click here. And basically that should redirect them to the top of the silo, because the top of the silo is more of a sales page, right? Trying to buy a house in San Diego. So everything is pushing up. So that's the user side. It just gives the user a way to get to other parts of your website that might help them with their questions that they have. So now you're keeping them on the website. You're giving them other links that they can go to read other content. That's for the user. That's where it improves the user experience. For Google, this turns into a nice index. When they come to your website, they scan your website, and it's called Googlebot. A lot of you guys, it's like, oh, that has Google scan it. It's Googlebot scan my website. What it does, that program or that bot, what it does is scans your website from top to bottom. So if you set up these silos with all this information and interlinking correctly, it will scan your location page, and then it will move down to your category pages. And then we're getting ready to talk about the articles. But you can see now, you're starting to see how it flows easily. If you do not set up your content in this fashion, what happens is you have content that's all over the place. You might have the right topics, but since they're not interlinked and it's not telling a story, it's not organized, the content might get lost in the mix. So when Google scans your website, it might not find these pages, especially when they're just created as landing pages, when they're not connected to anything on your website. They start becoming what's called orphan pages. That means they don't get indexed. They get lost in the mix. For the user, they basically only read your article page, or I'm sorry, your category page, the first time buyer. You didn't give them an opportunity to increase the value by giving them hyperlinks to other pieces of your website that they can get more information on.
So you just said something that kind of, I don't know why, out of nowhere, this made an aha to me. If I just were to create, let me back up here for a second. Most gurus out there, the way that they teach this is I need to have individual squeeze pages with the URL matching, let's say, are you trying to buy a house in San Diego.com? Or first time buyers in San Diego.com. And I need to make this single page squeeze page, right? Squeeze, because I want to squeeze them all in this thing. But what you just said is the complete opposite. It's like, no, that is not the route, because that page is really kind of I love the analogy, an orphan page. It's kind of out there. Nobody knows about it.
Exactly. And that's and to go a little further on that topic, Sean, those landing pages, squeeze pages, which are the same thing, they're just one page websites. It could be a part of your website or not, but they're not in any way connected to the other content. Those used to be very popular, and still some gurus are out there kind of pushing that in regards to the landing pages, because what they don't tell you is that you can create these pages and they'll be very valuable, very informative, right? But when the customer, you are like, all right, I created these pages, now what, right? I don't see it ranking anywhere. It doesn't appear on Google anywhere. What they don't tell you is the next step, which means now you got to pay a bunch of money for Google ads to get traffic. We're not teaching paid here. We talked about free, right? SEO, free SEO. We're teaching you how to get to the organic pieces of your rankings, right? How to get your pages to rank organically. And with landing pages, you cannot rank organically, or it becomes very difficult. I'm not going to say you can't, because you can, but it becomes very difficult when you got agencies like us setting up websites like what you're seeing here. We're going to dominate. You're not going to be able to compete at a high level.
So that's where they left out that little valuable piece, that
exactly.
You can do it this way if you're ready to pump more money into the eyeballs on it. Good takeaway, folks. Good takeaway.
Absolutely. And it depends on your goals, right? A good marketer finds a good balance between organic strategy and a paid strategy, right? So it only depends on what you're going after. But at the end of the day, what I can tell you and what we've learned in the past couple of years as through our studies, not only our testing, but also just kind of reading the information out there, the data from other professionals in this industry, are that if you have a good organic presence. Basically, you're doing these type of setups. You're appearing on Google. Your brand is being indexed by Google, and it's very good, very strong. When you run paid ads, you tend to do a lot better. They tend to prioritize you. Why? Because now your landing pages are ranking on the paid ads. But then, if people want to read more about your company, they can find it really easily in the organic. When you just have one landing page, that's all you're doing. You're pumping a lot of money to it. People can't find any more information. And us as the consumers are getting smart. We're trying to figure out that you probably don't have any value, right? All you're trying to do is sell me something. You're not trying to give me more value outside of that.
Awesome. So I got my silo, right? I've got my kind of the top of my spear here, the main pillar page, top of my silo of all of this. I've got a page about 800 to 1,000 words. I've then broke it down and I've got secondary pages where kind of second tier layer here. In this case, in our example, we got 2, could be 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, depending, right? But we've got 2. Each of these are pages, about 800 to 1,000 words. Each of these pages are finding somewhere in that content that's being created on it to link back up here to my silo page, meaning it's referencing back up to this stronger keyword that I'm kind of ultimately going for, this, more broad, buying a house in San Diego, and the deeper information here. And that's good, right? That's kind of far better than the average individual out there that's trying to build out their own website. Maybe they're trying to, bootstrap this on their own right now. That's going to do a lot in there. But what's this final tier now that I kind of look at as the ammunition? Like, this is our weapon, right? I talk about this with our clients all the time. This is your 50 caliber machine gun that is just a bad mamma jamma, but it's only so good when it's got ammo in it. And that's what this tier is here. So why don't we break down a little bit deeper? What's the ammo that really feeds this weapon system to become the best?
Awesome. So that ammo is going to be your articles. So what those articles represent are all the questions your category, your avatar has. So very simple. Don't overcomplicate this. If you look at it, let's go back to the category, first time buyer. Now think about it. You wrote a page of 800 to 1,000 words about this avatar, right? This first time buyer. And you probably didn't write in detail. You probably had a lot of paragraphs in there, a lot of sections that talk about some of the questions they might have. Now you take those questions and you make them into individual articles or blog posts. And that's where these articles come into play. They're quick 500 word answer the question, right, that they might have. So you just come up with every single question you can think of or that you find as a keyword through your keyword research, and you create articles around. So truth be told, that all these articles become very important. And to Sean's point, so your MO, right? Because those articles get found more than your location pages in some cases, in a lot of cases. Because think about yourself when you're trying to find out something, trying to answer a question about anything. What do? We all go to Google and we type in what that question is, and what pops up. If you realize it or not, it's a blog post. You're reading blog posts all the time. I don't know how many times clients tell me, I never read blog posts. I'm like, have you ever typed anything into Google to try to find out a question of something? All the time. You're reading blog posts. You don't care what the company was that's answering that, right? What happens is, if they did a good job answering that question, you tend to maybe even click on their call to action, their links, right, that are within the content, because maybe they're answering another question that came up while you're reading. Goes back to our inner linking, our hyperlinking. And what are they doing? They're hyperlinking up to the final sales page. We're slowly building the trust factors so that eventually they can do the aha moment and maybe do business with us. And that's how this structure creates that.
Yeah, I think another way of putting that, folks, is, and I mean, I think it's almost impossible for somebody to say they have not read a blog in the last 24 or 48 hours, because blogging today is nowhere what it was. I love when clients say that to us. You mean I got to write like a travel blog or kind of a a day-to-day kind of, no. It's education. But to your point, when they're clicking on and going deeper and deeper into our process, the other thing that they're doing, and this is something to think about as you build out these pages in comparison here's kind of your expertise area to shine, right? This is where your knowledge gets to come out and really answer what it is that they want to know. But we live in a world where so many people are, quote unquote, the expert. The internet's becoming so easily tapped into by so many people that the first question after you read something that's like, wow, that was really good. Hold on, how credible is that? Who is this person that actually answered it? How credible is the business? What business is this? That kind of second. I know Deanna does this to me all the time. I find something and she's like, what's the source? Who said that? That's kind of what's happening here, right? They click and they go here and then they go to here and they're really digging deeper into verifying that what you said down here in those articles, answering that burning desire question that they had, is coming from somebody that is credible looking, right? It's kind of that proof in the pudding, so to say, that, okay, I can trust what they just said down here.
Great point, Sean. And we already have plans to get into this particular exact topic in future episodes, but priming your social media accounts, right? How you can build your brand and kind of show you as a person that you are a knowledgeable person in that space. So in this case, I mean, your website needs to be that. You need to have a website that's ready with a lot of value. So when people start searching even deeper because they liked a particular article that they read and found on Google, and they start researching your company a little further, that website better be structured very easily to manage, to basically kind of look through, and it better have more value. That way you can close that particular lead, hopefully, so they can do business with you.
All right. So kind of going, I want to take this part a little bit deeper, because I've got some keywords up here and I've got these articles. How do I kind of, and I'm going to play the student here for a quick second. I'm looking at this category of my second tier, right? And this is my kind of second tier, category number 1 of my first time buyer in the San Diego market. How do I kind of figure out what are some good articles to write about? And more importantly, how do I decide how to kind of break down some of those keyword pieces?
Sure. So a quick way to really do it is kind of going back to last week's conversation with the keyword. There's a number of things that we did kind of look at through that process. So if you go through the first, because there was 3 different ways to kind of find keywords that we showed, and probably the easiest way, if we didn't want to mess with any tools or anything, the auto suggest, right? Google auto suggest, where you type in a word, then you look at the search results. Well, I showed something last week where people also ask section on those search results. Literally, it gives you a list of what people also ask. And then right there, if you're already looking at the particular keyword and it's giving you some questions that people also ask, you go to those sections and you look and you read those blog posts, because that's basically, it's literally giving you the answer. And what I mentioned last week and what we talked a little bit about was you take that piece of content and you put your own thoughts, your own experience to really hone it in to your brand.
So if you missed it, episode number 2 of the WebBuzz podcast was all around the keyword research element. Go back, check that out. Episode number 2. We got deep into a couple quick, fast, down and dirty kind of ways. And another one that I'm going to add in there on how you can kind of come up with ideas for the articles. Really pay attention to that section where we dove into the resource answerthepublic.com. That resource right there was basically giving you some of the more common questions that are being asked around the keyword that you put in, and they become phenomenal blog topics. Now, real quick, Roger, what would you suggest? I'm about to sit down. I'm going to write a couple blogs around this to kind of fill out my silo, and then I'm going to go move on now to the next one. How many should I have? And how long should those articles be? Like, what's kind of the target I should shoot for?
Absolutely. So just rule of thumb. It can be more, it can be less, but I'm going to give you a rule of thumb here. You should have at least one main silo page at the top, at least one category. In that category, right? We said that was the avatar. That category should have at least three articles that are pointing back to it, right? That are answering at least 3 questions. So that would be a starting point. Now, from there, you want to build. But if you want to kind of, what can I do in the next month? What should be my goal? I would set a goal to create that silo structure and at least 3 articles that are supporting that topic.
Awesome.
Oh,
awesome.
And then the word count. Sorry. At least 500 words would be rule of thumb in regards to the word count.
And I mean, 500 words is nothing really to get through. We just had this conversation with our marketing team about doing recaps of these episodes. And I looked at one of our interns and said, I think you could probably handle, in about a 15-minute span, sit down and write 350 words recapping the episode. And they all laughed. They're all recent college graduates, and they all laughed at what I was saying. And I was like, it's probably the same way you got through most of your college papers. You just kind of slung a bunch of stuff at the paper, and before you know it, you had 200 words. I mean, I don't think I can even get done introing myself with under 200 words. So 400, 500, 600 words should be pretty easy as a baseline. Obviously, the more the better. The more content, the better it's going to kind of please the algorithm. Obviously, you got to also take into consideration, don't over say what you're trying to say. You could, find that happy medium. Don't do it just for the word count. Drive home the point, answer the question, or really put a lot of value into what you're putting out there, but don't overdo it, and also don't underdo it, because you're not going to see the results that you wanted, and you're going to, waste a lot of time by overdoing it in there. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just a little bit, because a lot of people, this is a space where when people are doing it themselves, they struggle because they always say, it's like, I'm not a writer, it's hard for me. So what I would suggest and kind of give you some tips would be to basically use your experience. And what I mean by that, case studies, right? Think about if you're a real estate agent, one of your experiences, one of your clients. Use as you're writing this example of this question, think of one of the experiences that you had and write about that. Literally use that. Tell them, and this is what I went through in one of my transactions. And you're going to end up with 500,000 words very, very easily just by talking about a case study.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, in true TRC fashion, not only do we love getting on the WebBuzz podcast to drop some gold bars with a bunch of knowledge. First off, before I even drop what we're doing with this episode and what we've put together for you guys to go out and get just this series alone. I know next week we're going to wrap it up. That'll be the final episode. We'll kind of bring it all back home under this entire series. But I'm blown away listening to what we broke down over the first 2 portions of this today and what I know is coming next week. And if I was somebody out there who just dropped 3, 4, 5, 15 grand on a website because somebody told me that's the direction I needed to when my business was getting started, and it didn't have these components, I'd be pissed. I would be upset like a mofo. And I look back at my early days in business, and I wish I knew some of this stuff then, compared to where things are at, right now on it. So maybe just kind of hit on that real quick, Roger, like the value that this is bringing. I know for some people it's probably, oh yeah, this sounds cool, but really when you get down and dirty, like what does this do for that business that's either getting started, has been out for a little while, they're not getting the results online that they want? How does this really, in the grand scheme, what does it do? Like, what's the purpose of putting in this energy? Great
question. Yeah, that's absolutely great question. Because why are you even going to invest this time? It's complicated. It's time consuming, right? You have to do a lot of research. And what is the value? What are we getting out of it? Well, at the end of the day, you're getting your brand out online with, and I think COVID was a big eye opener for a lot of people. everybody's looking online now because you can't go out, right? So if you didn't have your online presence, and even you had an online presence and you had no idea, either you had a website, right? Because a lot of our clients say that, or you knew you had a website, but you're not popping up in the right places and you don't know why, then nobody's finding your ideal client's not finding you. If you have this structure, the value it brings is that it puts you in front of the correct people that are looking for you. That's it. That's it right there. It's just gold bars, Sean.
Yeah, man, I have got to get the team to Excel Max. If you guys are out there still watching this live, here comes a task for a coming up episode. I've got to get something where I can, when we drop these gold bars, maybe that'll get people to understand and see it. I want something like smash the screen, gold bar slam down video, something like that. Because, folks, that was a major gold bar that just hit. You are getting the stuff. I started this episode by saying, don't create content just to create it. Create it so that it has value and purpose. And you've got two prongs here. You're trying to speak to the algorithm and you're trying to speak to the audience. And the fastest way to be able to get to your audience is please the algorithm, please the robot. Give it what it needs. It will put you out there and your audience will find the value that you bring. With that, talk about value. We got something fun for you guys. Last week, we gave you some great resources. The week before, we dropped the resource of the avatar worksheet. We're going to kind of round up a little bit, and probably next week we'll bring the whole booklet together in a sense. We're going to round in another powerful player into your arsenal. If you'd like to get this silo breakdown, I'm going to pull it back up on the screen so that everybody can see it again. If you'd like to get this powerful resource that you see right here on the screen, this silo breakdown, so that you can use it in your business to start putting together your silos, all you need to do is head over to the link that you see at the bottom of the screen. We'll link it up in the show notes as well, topresultsconsulting.com/silo. You'll be able to enter your name and an email address you want us to send it to you, and you're going to get an instant downloadable Excel file. My suggestion, take that Excel file, throw it up into Google Drive, open it as a Google Doc, and voila. Make a couple copies of it. You got a copy for each silo that you're going to build out on your websites. You got a powerful player in your arsenal that, as we've said, most of your competition, unless they're typically working with an agency like us, if they're not, and they're not doing things at a high level, they're not going to have this kind of structure. And just by you putting in a little bit of effort and doing some of these pieces, even if you don't get it right out of the gate, it's going to bring more value to you, your business, your rankings. You will see more traffic. You will notice things are starting to show up more, and it's going to prove that it's worth the energy that you're putting into it. So with that being said, we're about to wrap up and sign off. Anything you want to end with, Roger, before we let everybody go?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to some of the listeners that have been listening to these past episodes. I've been getting reached out to by a couple of the listeners and just thanking us for some of the information. So that was really cool to really get a lot of Facebook message come through and everything. I was like, wow, that's awesome.
One literally just dropped in the comment right now. It's up on the screen from Lorraine, one of our clients out of New York. She says it definitely helps to bring visibility to your business. You heard it right from the horse's mouth, so to say, right from one of our clients. It's actually getting a lot of traffic because of the work that she's been putting in on this.
Awesome.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful week. We will see you next Wednesday if you watch these live. Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific time. You can find it in a couple places online. The easiest place at Top Results Consulting on Facebook. On our Facebook page, the live broadcast streams out there. Join us in the conversation. If you got questions, you can always throw them in the comment box and ask them. They'll pop up on screen. We'll be able to see them. We'll take care of those for you. We'll do our best to answer. If you guys interact with us, we'll give you the answers. We'll help you out. Kind of a free place for you to get some guidance. But with that being said, make it a wonderful week. Roger, as always, it's been a blast hanging out, dropping some more gold bars here. And
Likewise.
for sure. And we will see everybody next Wednesday. Until then, here's to your success.